Good morning. If everyone could please take your seats, we'd appreciate it. We got a full house today, and we have a full schedule today on the agenda. So if we can wait for everybody to please take their seats. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. We appreciate everyone being here today for the Manatee County Port Authority meeting for August 13th, 2026. What I'd like to do first, I'm going to call the meeting to order. And what I'd like to make sure that Commissioner McCann and Commissioner Bearden are on the line. We don't have the same technology we have at the board meetings. So if you guys could say that you're here, we would appreciate it. Okay, I was told they're here. So what I'd like to do first, I'd like to have the invocation by Chaplain Jeff Holton of Anchor House, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be done by Commissioner George Cruz. If everyone could stand if you're able, thank you.
Good morning. Please join with me in a word of prayer. Lord, we come to you this morning and thank you for your great blessings that you give to us each and every day. We thank you for the ability to be able to gather together in freedom and to worship and to conduct business and to do things all for the because you've given to us that freedom. And we just want to ask that you would give wisdom today for the commissioners and all who are involved in this meeting, that everything would go according to your plan and that your presence would be here as business is conducted. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Man, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chaplain. Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. At this point, we would normally have, in our normal meetings, we have introductions, but being that there's so many people in the room and we want to make sure that our special guest has plenty of time for his presentation, we're going to skip introductions this morning, and we're going to go right into if there's any port comments regarding port business this morning. And if there is, what I'd like to do is have our port customers and tenants, if they have any questions or comment, ask them to come forward. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and we'll go close port comments. Mr. Executive Director, it's all yours,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman,
Thank you.
Commissioners, do we have the Commissioner McCann?
Yeah,
on?
they said they were on.
They weren't.
They did, but
I'm on.
all right. Thank you, Commissioner
Can you hear
Beard.
me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
All right, we hear you both.
Hey,
Thank
real
you.
quick, before we get started, I want to have the privilege to say a comment here and understand something, Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Go ahead, Chair. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, when was this? I want to know when exactly this meeting was scheduled. When did we decide to schedule this meeting?
And I
Executive Director?
yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The meeting was scheduled by our chair about 3-4 weeks ago and was noticed to the commissioners at that time.
When I didn't catch
Okay,
it.
Chair Ron scheduled the meeting approximately 3-4 weeks ago, and it was noticed to your aides and also, to your email addresses.
Okay, because I did not see that scheduled, and based on my schedule that I had in advance, I had something booked today, and so that's why I was wondering, because I never book anything when I see Port Authority meetings on schedule. That's my point.
Wait, Commissioner, I appreciate your comments. We had, in light of our special guest, we noticed this about a month ago, and we found out that the Consul General could be here at this meeting. So we went ahead and scheduled the meeting and gave notice. I know that we noticed your aide, Kelly, and everybody else's aides with regards to this meeting. But I can understand your comment. Thank you.
My point is, a lot of these meetings are scheduled way far in advance. And so I prepare my schedule based around that. So I appreciate the input. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Today we have two special guests today. The first you'll hear is our Port Railroad. You have a Class 3 railroad here. connecting to the CSX, being a Class 1, and through the CSX and the Port Railroad, we can reach anywhere in the country. My mic is gone. Hello?
Oh, you had another one.
There we go.
you go.
Good.
Oh, not getting feedback. Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna turn one of them off. Technology.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So we have those two special guests. One, Mark Meyer. There. Okay, thank you.
Since we're doing a budget day, can we increase our funds for audio?
We are going to set aside an emergency purchase order for new equipment.
All right, thank you, Mr.
So,
Director.
so we have the two presenters today, one being Mark Meyer from Port Manatee, or actually the Regional Rail, which is the company that Mr. Meyer is an executive of, and then the Deputy Consul General of Brazil, Cristiano Berbert, who's here to talk about really the impact that Manatee and Brazil have in common and the opportunities between the two. It's on, I think.
Thank you, sir.
Got it.
All right, let's hope that works for me.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Give me a second here to get, there we go. All right. Morning. I'm Mark Meyer. I am AVP of Marketing and Sales for Regional Rail. I'm AVP of the Southern Division of our railroad. I'll give a quick little insight as to who Regional Rail is. We're a holding company that has 17 railroads across the Midwest to the Southeast and Western Canada. We actually can change that number because as of this week, we just purchased another railroad up in Massachusetts, so we now have 18 railroads. We are more or less, as a short line operator, the local pickup and delivery service for the Class 1 railroads. So we operate 4 railroads in Florida, the most important of those 4 being Port Manatee. So we have been operating here since I think we took over at the end of 2021. So what we do for the customers at Port Manatee. So we receive our interchange from CSX, and we serve all the various customers and warehouses here on port. We support the import and export business. We handle storage when we have car storage opportunities with the customer base, and then just basically work Monday through Fridays, switching all of the customers to make sure that they have rail connectivity as well as trucking connectivity. Let's talk a little bit about the port infrastructure. So we have 7 miles of track. We connect right outside of the port with CSX, which connects through their Tampa yard. We have right around 300 rail car spots for operating the line and for basically the customer switch spots. Everything is 286K rail, which we can handle basically anything that can be put on rail because of the beefiness of the rail system here on the port. And we can do basically any commodity group that the port asks us to do, outside of highly toxic things, where everyone tries to avoid those. But so when we took over as the rail operator at the port, we sat down with Carlos and his team and said, all right, what can we bring with to the port that would enhance the services here? So we look at this as more of a logistics than just a railroad sell. So we work with the port team every day in developing new customers, looking at the industrial development that's available here at the port and how we could enhance that with rail operations. We have taken some business that was moving by truck and converted it to rail to help with congestion on the port. We have all of the phosphorus that comes through the port. We set up a rail loading system with Kinder Morgan to be able to support the Mosaic business and get some of that freight off of truck, so we have less trucks on the road. We have the ability to handle oversized freight, so we work with all of the railroads. A lot of things that we do with oversize are transformers and large pieces of equipment. So when we took over the port, we basically came through and designated areas to be able to offload heavy haul and oversized freight, so we could go out into the market and sell that to enhance the revenue here at the port. The main products that we handle right now are steel products. We bring in rebar that goes export. We have inbound fertilizer and agriculture products, pulp products that have come that have been import, and now we're taking them up into various points across the Midwest. Copper scrap, liner board, and we deal with the scrap steel in some cases also. So we like to expand the amount of products we're handling, but this has been very successful. When we took over the port, it was at a interesting time. There was some business that was being handled by rail that left, so we built it back up from nothing, and last year we had a very successful year with rail, and we're hoping to do the same again this year. So the value add with that whole logistics idea and working with the port team to develop new customers and to get interest in Port Manatee is huge. We use not just our team and the port team, but we also work with CSX to develop customers and to look at industrial development leads that are coming into the state of Florida. So we also work with the local economic development teams to try to bring business this way. So the whole idea here, why we are here, why we're in this community, because we believe as a railroad we're part of the community. Railroads have been around for hundreds of years, is job creation, industrial development, and to bolster up the supply chain. For a lot of years, trucks were king in transportation, and we're seeing a shift right now due to fuel costs and other issues in the trucking industry. We're seeing this huge shift back to rail. The amount of leads that we're dealing with for port business is astronomical right now. We normally see 2 or 3 leads a month. I'm dealing with right now 5 to 10 a month. So it's been really solid, and we aren't seeing that shift back anytime soon. We're seeing a lot more interest in infrastructure investment in rail, and it's not going to go away. So we like to say that we're just the local railroad, but you know, we want to be part of the community, and we want to make things better in Manatee County. That's really all I have at the moment. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Speak.
Thank you. We want to thank you very much for putting the presentation on. One question I'm kind of curious about with the focus on rail. A lot of the focus on expanding infrastructure. Rail seems to at the state level be coming back into focus. Not just looking at costs and fuel, but also land development inward towards the state, potentially elsewhere. What trends are you noticing with new rail development, specifically freight rail, not necessarily passenger rail?
So for the longest time, I would say that I was in the rail preservation business, because everywhere in the state they were tearing up railroads and making rails to trails projects, which we all love. A great place to go for a walk, but getting products around the state are extremely important. So in the last couple of years, and specifically this year, we have seen we've seen a lot of expansion. We've talked with the state on what we can do to expand our interchange here, because with the growing business, we're one large customer away from needing another interchange track so we can properly handle all of the freight. And we're seeing that trend where we're talking with the state and the federal government about putting rail back in where it was not used for 20 plus years. So they're taking it very seriously and trying to bring markets back that have been dead for rail for a long time.
One quick one too.
Yeah, follow up.
Let's follow up and last question there. What are based on your experience, not just in Manatee, but with the other soon to be 17 other networks? I'm curious, what are opportunities you might be looking at to integrate rail with traditional trucking routes? So some other companies, I have a friend who works at another railroad company in Florida.
Sure.
One of the one of the models they've been approaching, considering, is can they use land as a depot of sorts to connect goods that are coming off of rail to trucking routes, and that's revenue they can generate.
Absolutely. So we call that transloading, and transloading in the last 5 years has grown. I can't even tell you how much. Just to give you an idea, when I started in the railroading industry, I came from the trucking industry, and I've been railroading for 11 years now. And at our railroads, the transloading business made up about 18% of the business, and now it's over 60% of the business. So I am developing transloads regularly all over our network.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, I have a quick question to kind of follow up on Commissioner Sadiq's points. With land being as a premium here in the state of Florida, pretty much across the country, do you see that you guys, the rail, are just going to rehabilitate and repair existing lines, or do you see how you're going to build new rail through the state of Florida or anywhere else, being where the current, current rails are, or if we have to go and you have to buy land? I mean, you guys need land, a lot of land to build a rail line on. Not just talking the rail everything goes with the right of way, everything like that. So
Yeah.
where do you see that heading into the future as far as expanding rail lines or just repairing and rehabilitating, or you're going to build new lines?
So the likelihood of being able to acquire that narrow right of way through the state is it's a long shot. So the likelihood and the rail network that we have in the state of Florida is a very solid rail network. CSX has done a phenomenal job with being able to operate north and south, and the FEC is a great railroad also. They get a lot of the freight to us short line operators to make our deliveries. So one of the largest investments that railroads make every year is in their infrastructure. So we are constantly doing maintenance to our infrastructure to ensure that we don't have issues where it goes into disrepair. So I'm not sure what CSX spends, but I know it's a heavy number. So long answer to your short question. We're just going to keep putting money into the current infrastructure.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner McCann or Commissioner Beard, do you have any questions of Mark?
No questions.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Director.
Yeah. Am I? I wanted to make a comment, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
With regard to regional rail and the capabilities that rail brings. It's crucial that ports have rail. If you're a port without a rail system, you're not considered really a first-class port. And we have the benefit of having regional rail here, being able to partner with us to deliver rail, let's say, rail cargoes to anywhere essentially on the East Coast. So it's really beneficial. One example would be that if you have a shipping line and I'm talking to the shipping line, we can save them a lot of money. Instead of going all the way up the East Coast to Pennsylvania, they can just stop here, get on regional rail, and be delivered faster than it takes them to go all the way up the East Coast, as an example. And
So solving another logistics problem.
correct. Supply chain solutions.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, Chair,
Yes, sir.
can I make I just want to make a statement to Carlos. Just so you guys know, it was less than 2 weeks ago, nine days that I received anything from you guys regarding this meeting. That's why I'm kind of a little bit frustrated about that. I got the email in my inbox, so it wasn't a month. And so I just want to make that point so we can go ahead and continue. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, sir. Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Next, we have the Deputy Consul of Brazil. As you know, Brazil is our largest trading partner by far. And so as a result, he's taking the time to come up all the way up here. It's not easy from Miami, but we're very grateful he came and his team over here. And this is not the first time he's been here, by the way. He seems to be a frequent visitor to Manatee County. We're very, very happy because, again, Brazil being Florida's largest trading partner and ours, it's very good to have, official government officials here that know the port, are appreciative of what's going on here, and continue to support our mission with Brazil.
You going to introduce him?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, the Board of Commissioners, Mike Wren, all the members of the board. Let me also say hi to my friend, Carlo Boqueira, the CEO of the port, and to my good friend, Carlo Barbieri, who has invited me here for the third time to be here. It's a pleasure. And basically, what I'm going to do here is to show what diplomats always do. We talk about friendship, we talk about cooperation, and we can speak about friendship in broad terms, like Brazil and the United States, And then we can narrow down. We can be more specific, talk about Brazil and Florida. But at this very morning, we are going to narrow down a little bit more. And I want to talk about the partnership between Brazilian business, Brazilian companies, and the Port Manatee. How that friendship and cooperation and mutual partnership can, let's say, can feed back into the broader picture of U.S. and Brazil relationship. So I am Cristiano Berbert. I'm a career diplomat. I belong to the Brazilian Foreign Service. I have served my country in different places. I have been posted to Switzerland, then to Paraguay in South America. Then I was for some time in Texas, Houston, Texas. I came to love Texas as well as I love Florida now. But I became a support of the Houston Texans. Okay. And then they sent me to they sent me to Warsaw. I was there in Poland for some time, and I'm here in Florida. I have been living in Miami for the last 4 years, and I have 4 children. I'm married, and I have a dog that I left in Brazil. She's so crazy that I couldn't bring him to the United States. It's a border collie, so I don't recommend the breed. Okay, let's move on. All right. So this is basically the outline of my presentation. Let's move on. So talking about Brazil, what I like to emphasize is Brazil is not as big as the United States, but Brazil is bigger, is larger than the contiguous United States. So if you do an exception to Alaska and to Hawaii and Puerto Rico, Brazil is larger than the United States. And now we have 213 million inhabitants, and we have borders with 10 neighboring countries in South America. We, Brazilian diplomats, we are proud of the fact that we have been living in peace with our neighbors for over 2 centuries, and that our borders are really defined. I mean, we don't have any border problem with any of our neighbors. All of the line of the Brazilian border is totally defined by bilateral treaties. And that is one of the, let's say, this is one of the treasures that we cherish at Brazilian Foreign Service. So basically, Brazil is roughly 50 Floridas and larger than the continental United States. This is what I want to show you in broader terms. And basically, there is a lot of criticism regarding Brazil in the environmental area. And it is not that we cannot do better. Of course, we can do better in that area. But the broad numbers show that. So I'm going to tell you guys, and you can write that down. 60% of Brazil's territory is intact, remains intact. It is the same territory that was there when the Portuguese arrived in Brazil in 1500. And 60% of Brazil's territory is occupied by the Amazon forest. I don't know if you had the experience of traveling across the Amazon forest. I would recommend that to all of you. It's great. But basically, when you fly over the Amazon forest, you fly hours and hours and hours, and you have like under your feet, you have like a continuous green carpet with no holes. It's amazing. And out of Brazil's Amazon forest, 80% of the forest is preserved. Okay, so our record when it comes to environment is really good. Of course, that we have a lot to improve, but I want to stress that. We hold 12% of the planet's fresh water, and we hosted the COP30 in Belém this year. And it was a very ambitious decision to host that conference, because that city, which is one of the second largest city in the Amazonia region, they didn't have like enough hotels to receive all the heads of states, all the delegations. And then again, we had let's say a cooperation between Brazil and Florida, because the cruise companies, they had to send down to the Amazon River, like cruise ships, to serve as hotels during the conference. It was like a very effective way of increasing the number of rooms available in the city. We have a very clear power grid in Brazil, so wind power is growing. I guess now it's over 10% of our energy. 24. Yes, 24, yes. 58% is hydroelectric. We share with Paraguay the second largest hydropower plant in the world, which is Itaipu. It's another amazing place. I'd recommend you guys visiting that area. And now we have wind and solar, hydro, other renewables. But Brazil is also, we have been also very lucky in oil production. In 2010, we discovered Petrobras, which is our national oil state company. Petrobras discovered off coast in Brazil, like large, huge oil reserves. So oil production in Brazil has been growing. I am not sure, but I guess that now we are producing around 4 million barrels a day, which is quite good. And we are started also to have a surplus and to export. Let's see. Brazil also, we have a very good performance when it comes to agriculture production. So we are number one soybeans. I guess that the US was for some time the number one in soybeans. Now guys, Brazil is the first. Orange juice, coffee, beef, sugar, poultry. So we are a big commodity exporter, which is great. Of course, we need to export more. We want to do that more. On poultry, 20% of the poultry consumed in the world comes from Brazil. We are very competitive in poultry. We are always facing like unfair trade barriers in poultry because we are so competitive that countries don't want us. I guess we also have problems of putting our poultry in the U.S. market. Yeah, okay, but this is part of the business game, of the trade game. And we basically our success in the agriculture area is basically due to, let's say, to the gaúchos. Gaúchos is how we call the people who lives in the south part of Brazil. They are basically descendants of Italians and Germans, and they developed the agriculture in south of Brazil, and then they migrated into other parts north of Brazil. So from Rio Grande do Sul, which is the very south tip of Brazil, they migrated north to the state of Santa Catarina, Paraná, and then to Goiás, and then up north in the Amazonia region, the state of Rondônia. And like for generations now, they have been doing this highly competitive agriculture, highly efficient, and they even like migrated into the neighboring Paraguay, neighboring Bolivia, and they have been doing the same there. And also we have Embrapa, which is kind of Brazil's agriculture MIT, which is very good. Until the 70s, most of Brazil is covered by a biome called Cerrado. And until the 70s, everyone thought, oh, this land is not good for agriculture. But Embrapa came and rectified that soil with whatever substance they put there. And then it's now the Brazil's barn, let's say. The major production of agriculture in Brazil comes from that region, which is Cerrado. Okay, now Brazil and the US, We are also proud of that. This is part of the, let's say, this is part of the patrimony of the Brazilian people, 2 centuries of relationships with the United States, friendly relationship. So Brazil's independence was in 1822, let's say around 40 years after the United States independence. We established diplomatic relations in 1824. We became the first Latin American country to have a representation in DC. And in 1876, let's say the greatest head of state of Brazil, which was the Emperor Dom Peter II, he was in Philadelphia for the Universal Exposition, and he interacted with Graham Bell. Graham Bell was in the exposition showing up his new invention, the telephone, and Brazil's emperor, he was one of the first users of that technology. Okay. This was in 1876. I'm sorry, but I am a monarchist, okay? So, okay, Brazil and the United States, we were allies in the Second World War. And this is also a very beautiful story. The United States needed Brazil to allow the U.S. Army to use. We have in Brazil, which is the, let's say, which is the point in Americas which is the closest to Europe and to Africa. This is northeast Brazil. It's the city of Natal. And the U.S., they wanted to have a military base there. But we wouldn't allow them because we were, by that time, we took a neutral position in the war. Until, let's say, German submarines, they invaded, they crossed into Brazilian waters. And on a night in August 1942, they bombarded Brazilian ships, which were doing like coastal lines, full of civilians. By that time, Brazil, we didn't have like much air transportation. We didn't have much road transportation. So people in Brazil, they moved from a place to the other using the sea. So it was like a terrible night in 1942. And after that, we became closer and closer to the United States. President Roosevelt by then visited Brazil, met with Brazilian president, and we agreed to allow the United States to use that base in Natal, which was strategic to the war effort. And President Roosevelt invited Brazil to send troops to the war in Italy. And we did that. We sent 25,000 troops, which were part of the U.S., I guess, 5th Army in Italy. They fought in Italy. And we also sent the 1st Brazilian fighter group with 43 pilots. Those 43 pilots, they were trained by U.S. Air Force. They flew U.S. Aircraft, and they fought together with, they were part of the 12th U.S. Air Division in Italy. So this is a very successful and very beautiful history of cooperation and how we could, with the U.S. support, be present in the war and also to give our contribution to in destroying and burying Nazism and fascism in that time of history. This is a little bit about our friendship, cultural. We had Carmen Miranda make success here in the United States, 1939. Americans love bossa nova. I know that, the girl from Ipanema. And Frank Sinatra and Tom Jobim, they did a concert together in Carnegie Hall, very historic. So, talking about Brazilian diplomacy, how is it organized? We have, across the world, we have 136 embassies, 77 consulates, and 12 permanent missions to multilateral organizations. Here in the United States, we have our embassy in DC, we have a mission in New York, and we have 10 consulates around the country. Usually consulates are placed in areas where we have large Brazilian communities. And that's the case of Florida, particularly of South Florida. So the Consulate General of Brazil in Miami, basically, I mean, our main business is issuing documents to the Brazilian community, passports, visas for foreigners, and all the documents that you need, like birth certificate, marriage certificate, death certificate, all the documents that you need for let's say, for your business, for your life. This is basically what we do on a daily basis. We also have a section, a department that deals with helping Brazilians who are facing situations of emergency here in the United States. Unfortunately, we have women who are victims of domestic abuse, and they come to us seeking for help. We try to help them as best as we can. Usually, like, you are a woman, I don't know, living abroad, you don't have your family, you don't speak the language, and they seek help and assistance at Brazil's consulates. We have a Department of Trade Promotion, Science and Technology, Community and Press, and Education and Culture. Okay, so Brazil and Florida. Now, talking about Florida, we have 310,000 Brazilians living in Florida, the state of Florida. So let's say if we have 20 million people in Florida, so at each 100 group of Floridians, you are going to find 1.5 Brazilians. Huh? 207,000 Florida residents, they speak Portuguese at home. I know that this is a very important language for you.
Only when she's yelling at me.
And basically, Brazilians, they live in the Orlando area and Miami area. Of course, you'll find Brazilians across the whole state, but mainly the main concentration is in Miami. The second largest concentration is in Orlando. So we, apart from having like 300,000 residents here living on a permanent basis, we have around 1 million Brazilians coming every year to visit Florida. Basically, we love Disney, we love Orlando parks. And if you go to Orlando, you can speak Portuguese wherever you go. You can go to the restaurant and talk to the server in Portuguese. He's going to understand it. Second, okay, let's skip this one. Now talking about Embraer. Embraer is a very successful company in Brazil. Embraer now is like the third largest aircraft producer in the world. Embraer has some blockbusters in the market. The Tucano, which is a defense aircraft they developed years ago, is a success. They sell that basically to every country in the world. The US is a big purchaser of Tucanos from Embraer. They also produce jets, and all the U.S. companies, U.S. air companies, they buy hundreds of Embraer every year. So it's not only a successful Brazilian company, but it's something of a model for what we want to achieve here, because Embraer is is the best case that we have of economic partnership between Brazil and the United States. So those planes, they are developed in Brazil. They are projected in Brazil. We have, let's say, one of the top air engineering school in the world, which is the ITA, the Aeronautics Institute of Technology in Brazil. Basically all Embraer engineers, they get their graduation from that institute, which is located in São José dos Campos. So those aircrafts, they are projected in Brazil. They are built in Brazil or also here in Florida, where they have a plant. But the parts, the components of those airplanes, they are mainly U.S. made. They are U.S. made piece of those planes. So we assembled those planes in Brazil and we sell them, most of them to U.S. companies. So this is a case of economic integration. And my hope, like as a diplomat, is really to give a contribution so that we not only have the success case in the aerospace sector, but we also need to find other areas where we can have that success in the future. And this is where Port Manatee can give a contribution with all the advantage that you guys are offering to Brazilian companies. Okay, Brazil's economic weight in Florida. So we estimate that let's say the Brazilian economy in Florida is 23 billion now. And okay. And what is that? This is bilateral trade. So this is US-Brazil bilateral trade. So the US has had with Brazil a surplus, a yearly surplus. You can see that from the graphic. And what is that? 127. This is the total trade.
Yeah, goods service combined.
Goods and service combined. Okay, 127.6 billion. Brazil has two major trade partners, the U.S. and China. With China, we have a surplus. With the U.S., we have a deficit. This is like the historic situation of both trade currents. And Brazil is also the Florida's main trade partner. So basically, a third of whatever the United States sells to Brazil on a yearly basis, 1/3 of those merchandises, they reach Brazil passing through Florida ports. A third of that trade leaves the United States through Florida. And a third of what Brazil exports to the United States also gets into the United States through Florida. So that's why we are we are always among the top trade partners in all Florida's ports. Jacksonville, Port Everglades, and I guess also here we have an important position. Okay, Brazil and Seaport Manatee. How much time do we have left? Can go? Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt.
I have a question. I have my hand up. So
Yeah,
however you want to do it, Chair.
Hey, for Commissioner McCann and Commissioner Beard, I can't see when your hands are up. We don't have that technology here yet. So just if you want to just jump in, just say, hey, I got a question. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay. First off, sir, thank you for attending our port. My question to you is, what can we do to position ourselves to get more business to the port so that we can help support y'all's needs?
Oh, thank you, Commissioner, for your question. And this is what we want. No? I guess we have here the same mind, the same spirit, and we want to work for that. The thing is, we have already started to work on that. And Barbieri, he showed me on the entrance of this building the number of Brazilian companies listed on Port Manatee Hub. This is amazing. And he told me that we have already like 20 names of companies listed there, but he hasn't put all of them yet. He has more names. Maybe we need like a larger sign for having more Brazilian companies there. But a very important thing is what Commissioner Wren told me. We had a dinner yesterday, is that Brazilian companies, they need to know the opportunity of having assembly lines here in the special district of Port Manatee. And this is very, let's say, very strategic at this moment when Brazilian products are facing tariffs. Now we are paying like higher tariffs than we used to pay. So having this opportunity of assembling the product here and getting that product into the United States, avoiding those tariffs, this is very good. I think that what we need to do is to make more companies, more businesses in Brazil aware of that opportunity, because the opportunity is really good. So we need to work more, Carlo, and really making people aware, like the industries federations. In each state in Brazil, we have 27 states. In each state in Brazil, we have an industry federation. And we need to approach them, maybe to do a seminar or even to do like an online seminar with each industry federation Brazil and to show them that opportunity. I did something similar, let's say 10 years ago when I was in Paraguay. By that time, Paraguay was offering Brazilian companies the opportunity of assemble their products there. You just pay 1% of tax, whatever tax. All tax combined is always 1%. You only pay 1%, and through Mercosur and the tariffs benefits, privilege that we have among as part of that agreement, Brazilian companies, they could assemble their products in Paraguay and export it back to Brazil. And you ask me, oh, why are you promoting Paraguay and now why are you promoting Port Manatee? Because we need to build connections with the world. I don't think at all that it is bad for Brazilian company to have an assembly line here, as those products that come from Brazil, those parts that are coming from Brazil and being assembled here are conquering the US market. We still have a very low representation of Brazilian products in the US market. Basically, okay, we export a lot of commodities. But if you think on shelf products of Brazilian origin, we don't have many. We have now Balduco, I guess that most of you know. We have all the cutlery from Tramontina, and that's it. And then you have, like, if you go to a Brazilian mart, of course, you're going to find products. But what we want, like, as part of our job in the Brazilian government, is to have more Brazilian products on Walmart and Costco. Okay? So I don't know if I answered your question, Commissioner.
No, you answered it just fine. I just was looking at, obviously Carlos has been looking at, you guys have been having conversation on strategic ways on how we can increase that business, how maybe we can increase vendors. What do we need to do on our end to honestly look at opportunities to create jobs here at the port? And if you're talking about assembly lines, things of that nature, I think there might be a great opportunity there, because we do have a really great opportunity as far as the expansion of the port in a more strategic way. So those the questions to those answers are going to obviously looking at the economic impact that we're looking to have and really leverage our port. And that's the whole reason why I don't want to send this over to the state, is because we have a really great opportunity that we can expand and really enhance based on what we currently have today, right? This port is in our backyard. This port, really the people, really, I will tell you, look at our port as a gem that we want to keep here locally. And so that's why I'm asking those questions. So anything that we could do to have those sit down conversations, those conversations need to be had with all the Port Authority members on the actual board, so that we could actually, have the greatest input, I would have to say, on the decisions that are being made here at the port so that we can work together in this partnership and ensure that we have the greatest success possible.
Thank you, Commissioner. I can tell you that with the Oxford Group and Carlo and his team, I mean, we're bringing new Brazilian companies here every day. Our goal is to develop some type of manufacturing opportunities here that would create those jobs. Brazilian companies coming here when they have manufacturing. There's a Brazilian pastry company that's up in Pasco now. They're making Brazilian pastries up there. And we want to do the same thing type here. So I could tell you, Commissioner, that our executive director, the Oxford Group, and our trade friends in Brazil are looking at exactly what you've just stated. We are working on that every day to bring those type of companies here that we can have enhanced jobs in Manatee County and bring manufacturing to in and around the port, which will, again, be beneficial to Manatee County.
I just have a follow-up question. So what are some other future things that are more like forward thinking in regards to other possible industries that Brazil is looking to possibly enhance in a way that we can bridge a gap? Not maybe just assembly line, but is there anything else that you guys are looking at as far as the future that maybe you guys are trying to execute?
Well, I will tell you, in working with Carlo and the Oxford Group, there are technology companies, and Carlo could probably answer this better than I can, but there are technology companies. There are, like we have right now, we're looking at several different opportunities with companies that are forward-thinking, and want to work with not only us, but with the EDC of Manatee County to bring those type of business here. But there's technology, there's other type, there's manufacturing. We know we just had this pastry company go to Pasco. So there's plenty of opportunity, I think, within the Brazil trade partners. And you know, what I would suggest is possibly get with Carlo and the Oxford Group and here at the International Hub, and he can break down all the companies and everything they do. I mean, we have playground manufacturing equipment companies. We have soap. We have all kinds of different companies are coming to here that are Brazilian. But Commissioner, I think what we could do is, if you would like, we can get Carlo and his team to arrange a meeting with you in one-on-one or on the Teams, and Carlo can take you through all the different companies that are coming here or interested in coming to this area through the seaport. But
all right, thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
I think you'd find it very, very interesting.
Okay, then, and I would mention defense. Embraer produces both civilian and military aircraft, and they are not far away from Manatee. We can invite them for a conversation and see if they want to bring, because Embraer is also like a hub. Wherever they go, they bring other interests around them, or other industries around them. And defense, technology, and let's say energy, the energy industry. We have a Brazilian plant up here in Pensacola producing wind power equipments. Also, I guess they'll be much interested in knowing the opportunities here. But let's say defense and technology. Those are the kind of industries that we are aiming to achieve. Where Brazilian cargo comes ashore, so Port Everglades now stays like with the largest share of Brazilian cargo, 52%. Port Manatee, 42%. Port Miami, only 4.8%. So 357.3 million discharged at Seaport Manatee, the second by value. Yeah. I thought that Jacksonville was more important, no?
No, Jacksonville's not more important than us.
Yeah? Okay.
No, it is not.
Okay.
It's Seaport Manatee, Seaport Manatee, Seaport Manatee.
Are we done with that? No, okay.
Yes, I need to answer questions.
Because
Actually, I want to point out one thing, that the reason why Everglades is number one, and that's where I came from, is because I worked with Brazil to come to Port Everglades.
Oh.
Back when I was there. I now changed my mind, and I want them to come here. That's why number one and number two. Also, the Embraer parts come to Everglades from Brazil. So the high value of the aeronautics is what brings it up by value. That's what's really driving it. It's the Embraer
Okay.
air products, yeah.
Because I also heard that Jacksonville gets all the Brazilian pulp, the pulp and paper from Brazil.
And so we're changing that. You will notice that next year will be number one.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes, we're working with all of the paper pulp manufacturers in Brazil, right out of Santos. So you know, El Dorado, Suzano, Clavin, Bracel, everybody. Just because I think the relationship between Brazil and us has been so strong, it's helped us, even, grow that part. So.
I assume that now you're not very popular in Jacksonville.
No, I don't go there at all. They have a warrant.
Okay. So Seaport, Manatee, the bulk gateway. Okay, so more numbers. Let me skip that. Where the cargo comes from and what it carries. So Brazilian ports of origin, Paranaguá, Itaqui. Itaqui is basically iron, né? Iron ore. Rio Grande do Sul, all the ports. From the hub, Brazil found the West Coast. Okay, number one point of internationalization for Brazilian companies, and that's the work of Barbieri. 6 Brazilian states based here at the International Trade Hub. Half of the Brazilian municipalities represented at the hub. That's very good. Congratulations, Carlos. Huh? Very, very institutional presence, not just a business address. Now we have a Chamber of Commerce, Brazil, Florida, a new Chamber of Commerce. 30 Brazilian companies established here. So this is what we have been talking about. 50 acres for Brazilian companies and also for other countries to come here to internationalize. 100 million of investments, 40 plus patented technologies. Okay, a cooperation agenda with the consulates. That's it. Bulk diplomacy. Okay, that's never heard. Very good, very good. Let's do the bulk diplomacy. I like that. Yeah, that was your creation. Okay. Business mission, science and technology. Okay. Two-way partnership. And that's it. Okay. So if you have any more questions, and if not, thanks. Okay.
Are there any questions for the Consul General? Commissioner Sadiq.
Thank you. Kind of in line with, I spent some time looking at some of the metrics with, just trying to better understand Brazil's economy at a high level. So I was surprised, not today, but before, to see how diversified it is with services and certainly goods. We just see the commodity side here. One thing I'm curious about, rare earths materials. So the United States only has really one mine in California that manufactures mines rare earth materials for everything, drone technology, car batteries, what have you. They're opening a second one. The third one is, it's somewhere in Texas, I think. We have a severe lack of that. Now, granted, in your country, a lot of that is used for your alternative, your energy industry. But I'm kind of curious. I didn't notice an agreement with Brazil to ship or transfer rare earths between the U.S. and Brazil. Maybe that exists. But I'm curious, do you see opportunities to do that? Because the United States has a significant, and certainly our state has a need for that, and that can enable not the development of chips, but magnets, batteries, drone technology, that sort of thing.
Okay. So I know there is like a lot of talk regarding rare earths. We did a study at the consulate, and Brazil is basically, in terms of potential of reserves of rare earths, I'm always looking to him. So we are number 2, or number 2. Number 1 is China.
Wow.
Yeah. So we are number 2. I assume that most of those reserves remain unexplored. They need to be explored. and of course that we want to partner with the United States on that. Have been in the government, and I'm also, I graduated, I have a law degree in Brazil. I never practiced law, but I'm also an attorney there. But the point is, most of people, they don't understand how Brazil works in terms of legislation. So whenever I see in the press people thinking about bilateral agreements on rare earths, I think to myself, they don't know what they're talking about. This cannot happen according to Brazil legislation. U.S. companies, they need to be present in Brazil and to participate in
Public entity.
Public auctions.
Yes.
Yeah, because we have an authority in Brazil that regulates minerals, and they do what we call, it's not procurement, it's the opposites. Like a bid, that's it. They would have to participate in bids, to participate in public bids for let's say, for having those reserves. When people talks about bilateral agreements, I don't see how that can happen unless we change the Brazil's constitution. So that's the point. So we want, I think having American companies in Brazil getting those bids and partnering with us, it's great. It's great for exploring that potential. I agree with you.
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
interestingly enough, we're attending the Rare Earth Conference in November in Goiás because Carlo has been appointed like the coordinator for rare earths between, let's say, what he wants to do here and Brazil. It's a good. You wouldn't have known because it's just happening. So we're way in terms of invested in trying to attract rare earths through here as a supply chain logistics. Not as a manufacturer, but Carlo and the team and the rare earth people in Goiás are very interested in using Manatee to be able to bring in the rare earths through the U.S. when there is a bid and there's a purchase, and it can transfer through here. Want to say something about that, though?
Okay, thank you for your question. This is quite good because what we are, sorry?
Introduce yourself.
My name is Carlo Barbieri. I'm the chairman of Oxford, and I have the pleasure to work here in the hub. That is the main point to bring Brazilian companies to the west coast of Florida. And in this point, we just presented to the port a few weeks ago a project of Manatee becomes the gateway of and all the strategic products to the United States, using the possibility that we have now as the president of internationalization of the Brazilian mineral, that will be part of this conference in Goiás from 17 to 19 of November. And we are receiving the full support from the port to be there, because the idea is to do from Manatee Port the gateway of all these strategic products to the United States, not only to bring, but to manufacture here as much as possible in this area. This will create jobs here. We understand that will be fantastic, and especially because it not just Port Manatee, but all the area that Manatee can achieve 60 miles away from the port will be maybe the big change that we can bring to Florida. Florida becomes the gateway for all this material from Brazil here.
Yeah. Commissioner Sadiq's got a follow-up.
No, first of all, I thank you for the education on understanding how that works within Brazil. And it makes sense. From the port's perspective, whether you're bringing in a raw material or some type of good that we can then process here, you partially develop, however it works out, the transfer of a thing to the port and then enabling that, the use of that thing throughout the state, furthering our economy is a good thing. So however it works out, I think, first, I appreciate the understanding of how that works with raw materials in Brazil. And from our perspective, we just want to see more cargo, more materials come through that helps our bottom line and furthers businesses, Brazilian and American, within Florida. So I think if there are certainly opportunities to bring partially manufactured goods, processed or refined raw materials, or even the ability to refine them, I'd be curious, but appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Any other questions for the Consul General? All right, seeing none. Sir, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here today. And we thank you for your continued relationship with you and the country of Brazil and Seaport Manatee. So thank you again for being here. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the rest of the agenda. Next up is the consent agenda. Executive Director, there's been a change to the consent agenda.
Correct.
Can you bring that forward, sir?
For the time, agenda item, what's the, here we go. 7C.
7C?
7C. And we will bring it back.
And that was a request by the clerk's office, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Right. Correct. Right. Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Executive Director. All right, what I'm looking for, is there any items that any of the commissioners would like to pull from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd like to, if someone could give me a motion.
So moved.
Second, all right. I have a motion by Commissioner Sadiq and a second by Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor of the consent agenda minus item 7C, please say aye.
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 No, that's not the right motion.
No,
By 7.
It's just one line item.
One line item, sorry.
7C, the rest of 7C is supposed to be.
yeah, I'm sorry, just one line item and 7C, sorry about that. All right, are we okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. The motion carries, the chair votes aye, and thank you very much. All right, up next, and we're all familiar with this young lady, and we're very thankful to have her now at Seaport Manatee as our CFO. And Madam CFO, the show is yours. Thank you.
You and Cal started with letting people clap.
Yeah. Just make Tal happy.
There we go.
Nobody claps for you. I did.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Sheila McLean, Chief Financial Officer, Seaport Manatee. Today, I am presenting the fiscal year 2026-27 proposed budget, meeting all the Florida statutes requirements of a balanced budget. Where's the clicker? Yeah, the clicker. There it is. My apologies. At a glance, the fiscal year 27 proposed budget projects $36.2 million of revenues and $24.1 million of expenses, producing an approximately $12 million in net income before depreciation. While revenue is expected to remain relatively stable, overall decreasing by a net of less than 1%, the expenses are projected to have a decline overall by 14%. The result is a 43% compared to 2026 increase in net income, which is a reflection of how strong the port's capacity is to be able to fund capital investments, meet grant matching requirements, and manage future uncertainty or unexpected conditions in the market. As we navigate through this presentation, it's important to keep in mind that port operations are self-sustaining and receive no property tax support. Port fees and rates are structured to fund operational growth and capital needs. Looking more closely at the revenues, the fiscal year 2027 budget projects total revenues of $36.2 million. Overall revenues reflect a modest net decrease of 0.9% compared to fiscal year 2026, with growth in some revenue sources partially offsetting declines in others. So that doesn't mean that the 0.9 is a decline on all the revenues that currently exist. It's just a net off. And we will talk that about shortly. Compared to fiscal year, the main revenue drivers of the budget, are reflected in this slide. At nearly half of our total revenue, $17.9 million of our is generated through waterborne activities. And you will ask, what are waterborne activities? Those are the port's vessel and cargo related operations, followed by leases at 12.2% of our warehouse, and then followed by cranes. And I will touch a little bit about the cranes revenue, because it is a fairly new revenue that the port has undertake, which previously it was outsourced. So also followed by storage and security fees, providing this important diversification to the port under revenues. Compared to fiscal year 26, waterborne revenues are projected to increase by 5.6%, leases to increase by 5%, scales to increase by 27%, while on the opposite end, security fees are projected to decrease by 17%. Some adjustments that some of our partner agencies for the government have reduced some of their structure, the way that they do their tweak monitoring. And cranes have decreased by 30%. Now, let's talk a little bit about that. The adjustment was anticipated because in fiscal year 2026, there was the first year of this revenue source beginning in October of 2025. Like I said, it was previously outsourced by Logistec, and we decided to take it on. With no operating history on its own that was available at the time to the port, the initial projections reflected several unknowns. In 2027 budget, we are realigning those estimations, which has produced that reduction in the 30% of those revenues. However, in 2026, this has been one of the greatest revenues that we have brought on board, at an increasing expected in 2026 of projections of bringing net revenues of after expenses of 33% over expenses. I'm going to go back a little bit, and I want to state this, that when we prepare the budget for the fiscal year 2027, the approach that we take in budgeting is very conservatively, because we don't know, we are trying to react to the economic conditions that are currently out there, trying to anticipate all the potential changes in tariffs that are affecting our trading partners around the South America and so forth, that trade with the port. So as one of the important things that I wanted to say, when you see that decrease, it doesn't mean that our revenues are decreasing. It just means we're budgeting appropriately. However, history has told that the port's projections have been under what actually has happened, and I will talk about that a little bit later when I explain when it all comes together. So moving to the expenses. Fiscal year 2027 expenses total $24.1 million. The total operating expenses at the departmental level for all the departments' budgets is $21.1 million, decreased by 11% compared to 2026 in overall. Operations remain the priority. We are comprised of 7 departments. Salaries, wages, and benefits are the largest expense, of course, of the port at 48.6%, followed by our operations expense at 38.9%. Compared to 2026, the total expenses decreased by 14%. This reduction is so what we did is that in 2026 and in 2027, we did some shift. We evaluated in 26 some of the contracts from our consulting services, and we realized that it was more effective to bring in personnel in-house, effective cost-wise and productivity as well. So we are retracting some of our operational costs and moving it into salaries as those are brought into our staffing levels. The budget generates at the very end, let me just say, after the total operating budget, which is the departmental budgets, then we have the debt. The port currently has only 2 active bond issuances for a total of $38 million, of which we pay $2.2 million annually. But those are only 2 bond issuances, and we just finally paid off one, so we have very minimal debt. And in the capital outlay, and I will talk a little bit about that briefly when I talk about the highlights of the budget in itself, a little bit briefly. Expenses are, sorry, can you all hear me well? I turn it kind of like, well, oh, okay, on the back they cannot hear me. It's kind of like, sorry. So when we go to the bottom line of the net income at $12 million, which is an increase of 43%, this 43% is not only net income that just sits in there. It just allows the port to be able to be competitive out there and be able to increase the blueprint of the port and grow. So you will see that as we move along to discuss about our strategy for growth and our capital infrastructure investment as we go along. A little bit of highlights into the, and I'm so sorry in the back over there. A little bit of highlights of fiscal year 27 budget is departments have requested six new positions. 5 of them are security officers and 1 is a crane technician at a total of $397, that inclusive of benefits. One thing to say about that is that, like I discussed, there was a partially offset of $300,000 for consultant security services that we will be removing as an offset of that. And then the other thing, for every inside our crane department brings revenue, so it offsets that expense as well. The second item is, in order to maintain and continue some of the operations, we're bringing in an ask of $515K for one-time capital items, generators to respond to storms or any unforeseen, forklifts to continue the operations, and some replacement on some vehicles for security officers. An 8% health insurance increase, as we know that the county in itself, as we participate in their plan, are increasing their health insurance by 8%. So we are reacting to that for an approximate of $84,000 impact. And then, of course, the cost of living adjustments for our staff. As mentioned at the beginning, it was funny, Commissioner said about technology. So in fiscal year 2026, which is brought into the 2027, is the impact of us bringing forward a little bit of an enhancement to our information technology staffing levels to strengthen a little bit the networks and the servers, provide a more cybersecurity policies brought into the port, which is actually a requirement that we are supposed to abide by, and implement some of the GIS structures within the port. So this is a very important slide, because this one is when it brings it all together. When we talk about revenues, when we talk about expenses, what does that mean for the port? Okay, so this historical view places 27 proposed budget into perspective by showing how the port's revenues, expenses, and overall financial performance have evolved over the years. By far, it's a success story. The blue line above, this doesn't have a. The blue line above relates to the port's revenues, which have grown significantly over the past several years, from $18.2 million in 2020 to more than $36 million in the proposed budget for 2027. To compare audited results, and I want to be very, very specific, that 20 to 25 is the result of audited numbers. So it's actual results. 2026 is the projected results that we know that, well, at 10 months into the year, we can approximate where we're going to end the year. So we're projecting where we're going to end the year at revenues of $38.2 million and expenses of $20 million. History has shown that over the years, our revenues have increased approximately 110% through 2026. If you look at audited results, it has been 98.8% of an increase. And this is, we will talk about how are we reacting to that. This slide, we did this in two phases, okay? The first layer is to show you operational expense only. So you can see how the port has performed over the years before we bring in the capital investment that the port has engaged in. Pretty impressive right now. And you're gonna say this blue shaded area that you see in here, it is very important to show. These two lines, revenues, have exceeded expenditures, resulting in a net income over the years, okay? Which shows, this trend shows a very strong financial and self-sustaining port. Now you ask yourselves, what are we gonna do with all this money, okay? The port has a lot to do. We have a lot to grow. We have a lot to improve, and we have a very large blueprint that is still not built, and there is opportunity for that. And remember, every time we grow, we bring more revenues. And that is the idea for the port. As we are bringing more partners into the port, Brazil, other partnering countries, we are trying to increase our blueprint, but that requires funding. And this is where this is heading. Now, let's bring at what is the final outcome of the budget. The final outcome of the budget as the total expense brings all the total revenues and all the total expense, inclusive of capital. Okay, as you can see, the net income derived from operational performance now reflects the capital investment. Since 2020, the port has been able to invest in growth approximately $49 million. Furthermore, by pledging matching dollars, the port has partnered with granting agencies such as Florida Department of Transportation, Florida Seaport Transportation and Economic Development Program, known commonly as FSTED, and the U.S. Maritime Administration to unlock millions of dollars to help the port's blueprint to grow and to fund capital improvements. The FY 2027 proposed budget net income projected results will allow Just As to continue this growth while continuing to meet its operational needs and responding at the same time to unforeseen market conditions. The 2027 financial story is one with stable revenues, lower operating costs, higher net income, and financial strength. This equates, and all this with no property tax assistance, no reliance on Manatee County government dollars. We are self-sustaining, and we are supporting our operations and our capital growth without relying on property taxes or any additional debt. That is our 2027 budget proposition. But this strength of the port is going to continue to sustain our momentum for capital investment. When we look at the strategy for growth of the port, we can see that one of the strongest stories to tell is that the port's total capital investment strategy will be done by leveraging our own local dollars with outside investment. There are currently 17 active projects in the plan for a total of $125.45 million in project cost, of which approximately 2/3 of project funding at 67.6% is being funded by grants. The remaining of the 32.3 is coming from the port's own dollars, no debt, and a small portion at 6% is coming from the reliance on Port TIF, but the board has already approved a larger percent of that already, and that project is underway. At this point, I would like to introduce our engineer from the engineering department, Mr. John Glass, who will give us an update on the projects that we currently have at the port. John?
I'll start it clapping.
Thanks for starting clapping.
I'll start it always.
I deserve it, right?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and commissioners. I'll keep this brief. So, as Sheila was saying, we're excited about this upcoming year in terms of growth. I'm going to talk about our active projects that are coming up. I think one of our notable ones there you see at the top is Berth 4 Extension. We've received our letter of commitment from City of St. Pete's Mitigation Bank for our seagrass credits. No, it's 24 million. That should be.
That's a very small extension, man.
We're just gonna start just phase one. We're just moving some coral in this. Yeah.
That's 24 million.
It is 24 million in this phase one.
That makes a lot more sense.
Your poor chair is working hard for you guys to keep the cost down.
Right.
The yellow line we pay for them.
And so with this, reservation letter that we received from City of St. Pete, we're now able to finish our permits, which is a big step in this project that's been going on since 2018. So phase one of this project will commence next year, and we will start dredging out in front of the berth extension. So we're excited to get this off the ground. Another project that is a big expansion in our growth is our container yard. Our phase 3, we're looking at 16 plus acres of pavement and additional capacity in our container yard, and that should kick off later this year and hopefully be done by the end of next year. South Dock Street is probably, I'm sure anybody who drives in and out of the port is way past its life and needs to be replaced. So one of the consent agenda items this morning was to contract with a local contractor to start that work of reconstructing it. So that'll be done by the end of this year, which is good. Commissioner Sadiq, I wanted to point out that during the rail, you had mentioned about growth. We do have about 7,000 linear feet of track scheduled to go in the next year. That'll be inside our switching yard and then on the main line switching yard as well. Looking at a couple future projects that we're excited about as well here at the port. Cranes, right? We have put in federal and state applications for grants for $13 million each. Hopefully we get one of those. Federally, we're looking at 100% federally funded, hopefully. And then state would be a 50-50. So port share somewhere in the $6.5 million or less range for 2 cranes, which would be significant here for growth at the port. Dovetailing with the Florida Department of Transportation signalization of Southgate and US 41, South Dock Street, excuse me. We are looking at an initiative to expand our Southgate complex. We're calling that the Southgate Securities Interchange. That will add a couple gate lanes, a building for check-in, and hopefully reduce the amount of traffic on Northgate, or out of our Northgate, and hopefully reduce some of those issues that we've had coming out of Piney Point. Talking about growth, we've began looking at Grove Street, which is the property north end, just south of Piney Point. That's about 28 acres, and we're going to look at that to get it shovel ready. What do we need to do from a mitigation standpoint, and how can we get that developed? And then we're always looking at the fish farm for opportunities. So those are the couple projects that we're hopefully getting started this year as well. And I'd like to turn it over to Amanda Tyner to kind of wrap this up.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. So Sheila started us off with the numbers, right? How our budget looks and how it's going to impact us. John talked about how we're going to invest those dollars into our capital projects to bring more revenue into the port. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sum all that up for you, and I'm going to tell you exactly how that's going to make economic impact for not only the port, not only our local community here in Manatee County, but also the state of Florida. You can see on the slide our last set of numbers from 2025. We brought in about 11.8 million tons of cargo. How does that translate to the community itself? It translates not only in jobs, it translates in taxes, it translates in, oh my gosh, just a plethora of things on the impact that it can make to the community. Our annual economic impact, you'll see this number, right? And you think, oh my gosh, 10.5 billion. For us, that is a blessing in disguise because that just means we have more and more business, right? More and more business keeps us even busier, which we love. We love to be able to bring all of that revenue to the community. You'll note that there are some increases on here, and these increases, they do look pretty hefty, right? Especially under economic impact, you see that 43%. And you're like, how on earth is the port making that happen in 1 year? I want to make sure that it's clear. The 2023 numbers are what we're comparing to the 2025 numbers. So this isn't just 1 year, this actually is 2 years. And just really to drive it home, right? We're not just here just to bring jobs and to bring revenue, but to bring that economic impact so that we can continue to foster growth and improve our community. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Back to you, Brett.
So at this time, Chair, Commissioners, we are up for questions.
Okay.
And if,
Are there any questions from
okay.
the Port Authority members? Commissioner Sadiq.
Thank you. Just a question about capital improvement plan. Let's pretend for a moment everything is done on that list. What's next? And when does that conversation start? No, we don't have to solve that here. I'm just trying to figure out the conversation. The reason I ask is just for fun. Over last week, I went to Fort Lauderdale fun vacation. Couldn't help but notice that there's a road that you kind of have to drive. It's weird. It's through the port, but it's not through the port.
Yes.
I was almost arrested probably trying to. There's like 3 lanes of roads, and one takes you right through Fort Lauderdale. And in that example, I realized their infrastructure and their environment is so built out that they have to make these compromising decisions. They have to make these compromises just to be able to serve everyday people and then the port customers. And that's an example of it.
Yeah.
Here, we don't have that problem, but I am curious with growth in, now I'm putting my county hat on, growth in North County, are you looking at potential land acquisition off that's not connected to the port, but in North County that can service future growth? Because at some point, your waterfront revenue will, unless you raise, well, you can raise fees, but it'll plateau at a certain point. Hopefully not. So now you have to look towards alternative revenue sources.
I'm glad you brought up Fort Lauderdale or Port Everglades because I got there in 1990 when it was exactly like this. No congestion. And that was the result of that expansion. So all those, like pretzels of traffic, having to move traffic within the port and the parking. There's also a convention center there that further exacerbates, the amount of traffic. We don't have that problem. I don't think we ever will. But literally Everglades was much like you see here now when I got there and the result of opportunities and growth and expansion. So we see the following. We see the need, I think, to go off port if we can. Many ports are looking at it, what they call dry ports, inland ports, to avoid congestion at the port. So looking at that, like other ports are looking at that. Looking to expand the berthing. The berthing, north and south, very expensive, as John knows. Berths are expensive, but berths are like runways to ports, airports. So in order to land more planes, in order to dock more ships, more berths. Easily today, one berth, what do you think, 40, 50, 60 million? For one berth.
And you think there's opportunity to add more berths?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yes, we have in the master plan the ability to add 2 more berths. And also we're looking south. We can, and much more easily than any other port, have the ability to expand the berths south of the port as well as north.
Got it. One follow-up question. Now, thinking about us as county commissioners, what infrastructure can we be planning and focusing on that can enable businesses to succeed in North County that serve the port, or potentially looking at land uses that are in North County that can serve the port in the future? We have there's a lot of agricultural land, but there's also a lot of commercial space deficit, industrial space deficit. So I'm just curious, maybe we can have those conversations between staff and later on.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, one of our existing port shipping lines purchased 460 acres across the street. And they're, I think, the largest, shipping line that owns land, extremely beneficial. Honeywell built there, Allied New Technologies built there, and there's room for more of those. So ports attract additional investment on the county side of the ledger, if you would, with paying taxes and economic opportunity. So anytime you have available land like we do across the street from the port and within the port, either the port can expand and buy it, or private companies will also do that because they're at the port or near the port. So very beneficial. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Director, Commissioner, real quick, we have 1,400 acres here at the port to develop on. So we're very fortunate. We're not like other ports in the state of Florida where they're absolutely landlocked. Look at Port of Tampa, Port of Miami, Port Everglades, Port Jacks. So that'll go towards all that. I mean, you look at what World Direct Shipping is doing with their new terminal system they're setting up. They bought the 80 acres or 28 acres south of us. So we're seeing some of our port clients doing that and bringing that investment into the port. And so I think you're going to see that more often happening as the port continues to grow. But having 1,400 acres is huge for us to be able to expand operations at the port with either leasing the land to our tenants and building other warehouses, expanding our container yard that we're doing, which helps with all the containers that come off the ships. So I think you're going to see those type of things come forward in the master plan. We also developed the 30-year economic contribution plan for the port, which how we're going to get to where we're going to go, how we're going to pay for it, what appropriations we need from both state and federal levels. So I think you're going to see all that coming together very quickly.
Yeah.
So
just to converse with you for a second, it's better than 1,400 is 1,500 acres. No, seriously. I mean, we see in the county, we see this problem, right? Yeah. There's a significant amount of residential, and that's fine. But it doesn't diversify our economy. And so if there's certainly opportunities to buy land, bank it, that makes sense for the port, not just buy land just to have it. That's definitely something I'd be supportive of too.
Yeah, I think you're going to see that what the port wants to do is to build a manufacturing port-centric ecosystem around the port to where we have manufacturing, because we want everything to be port-centric, because we make our money is what comes in. So we want those type of, if they're going to bring it in, build it, and export it. We don't make much money off of rail or off of trucking, but we do want to have those port-centric, like we have Port Logistics that's building 1 million square feet that you see right down here, that are trying to attract that type of port-centric business that we can build upon to expand the port. So,
in fact, if I may, Chair, if we buy any more land, we're going to be in Hillsborough County. Yeah. We are literally, with the TECO property purchase, we're right on County Line Drive. So we have to expand, absolutely. The more land, the better, because ports regret not buying more land or not expanding. Port of Miami, Port Everglades, every port, Port of Palm Beach. And so very cognizant of that. And in fact, the Port Authority approved the purchase of the TECO land, 90-some acres, not too long ago, about 2-3 years ago. And so we keep that high on the radar of what needs to be done.
Thank you. Commissioner McCann or Commissioner Beard, do you have any questions? All right, thank you. Any other questions from here? All right, thank you. All right, great presentation, CFO. Thank you very much. Now what we're going to do is I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. All right. Commissioner Sadiq, motion. Commissioner Ballard, seconded. And I'm looking for all those in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Beard and Commissioner McCann.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Bearden? Okay. The motion carries with all the commissioners voting aye, with the exception of Commissioner Bearden. Mr. Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I think I've spoken enough. Everybody, has had an opportunity to express what they wanted to present to you. So at this time, I have no other comments.
All right.
Thank you.
Any commissioner comments? Commissioner Sadiq? Commissioner Ballard?
Nope.
Commissioner Cruz? Nope. I have none. Thank you all very much for being here today. We appreciate each and every one of you. Consul General, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate, again, you being here in our relationship with you. Carlo, thank you for everything you do also in your team. Thank you to all of our port clients and our port tenants. We thank you for continuing to support Seaport Manatee, and we'll see you at the next meeting. We are adjourned.